Hello, I'm Mike Rogers, and I am going to teach you how to use the PearDeck add-on to the Google Slides presentations. This is one of my favorite tools to use with my students. They enjoy it. I enjoy using it. It's super easy to use on presentations that you've already made or to create new presentations and to get really good interactions with the students and to really form or get formative grades in a snap. And so I'm going to start with a presentation that I had already made about how the sun creates shadows, and that's all based on the rotation of the earth on an axis. So I'm going to use that slide presentation. I'm going to show you how to add on to a presentation that's already made so that you have an interactive slides presentation instead of just a regular slides presentation. And then I'm going to also show you how to use some of their template questions and slides, which are also really terrific. So the first thing that you need to do is you need to look at the top of your slides presentation, go from File all the way over to where it says Add-ons, and when you click on Add-ons, if you have it already added to your computer, it should say PearDeck for Google Slides Add-on. If it's not there, you can come down here, click on that, and then it'll take you to a place where you can add PearDeck, P-E-A-R-D-E-C-K, to your computer. Once you've done that, then you'll open it up again and this will be available to you. And when you click over here, when you hover over it and you go over to the right side, it says Open PearDeck Add-on. So you're going to need to press that button, and when you do, it's going to appear over on the right side where the theme normally is for your slides presentation. So the first thing that you'll notice is Start Lesson. We don't want to do that until we're ready for the presentation to begin, and we haven't done anything to make it interactive yet, so I need to do that. So right down here, this is the template. We'll use that a little bit later. Right down here it says Ask Students a Question. And so we've got text option, choice, number, website, draw, draggable. I'm going to show you how to do all of those things, right? So first I have a slide that says for them to do this. Draw where the sun would be if it was 9 o'clock a.m. Next, draw a shadow for the tree based on where the sun is located. So this is clearly a draw or drawing activity, and so you want to click on the draw button, and that's all you have to do. You have now made this slide interactive. It takes a second for it to load up, but there it is. So students are now going to be able to draw on this slide, and it won't change anybody else's slide. It'll just be the one that they're working on, and you'll be able to see all their work. I'm going to show you how to do that in just a little bit. All right, so I'm going to move to the next slide to show you how to do another one of the options. This one says, look at the shadow on the tree. What time of day is it? So this is a multiple choice question. And so I'm going to click on choice, and it's going to ask me what choices you want. You can add more options if you'd like. I'm going to put 12 p.m. as one choice. 9 a.m. as another, and the last choice I'm going to put, let's say 5 p.m. And then I'm going to click Update Slide, and once I click that button, this is now a multiple choice slide, and you'll be able to see all that information real time, so that's going to be great. I have a shadow here that I could move to the other side if I wanted to, but I'm not going to. This is where I want it, and so obviously we want the student to say that it's going to be about 5 p.m. because that's the direction that the sun would be heading and creating that kind of shadow. All right, moving over to number 3. Explain what is happening when the sun crosses the sky. Use the scientific terminology we've learned for this unit. So this one is going to be a text box. If we want a short answer, you might want to put a little bit more in here, like I want 3 sentences or write a paragraph. Depending on what your criteria is going to be for this particular one, but this would be a good exit ticket, for instance, if you've already taught the lesson. So all I have to do here is just click on text, and it adds it, and now we have a writing response, a short answer assignment. Fourth one, it says place a blue dot where the noon sun is, green dot where the 9 a.m. sun is, and a purple dot in the 6 p.m. sun. All right, so this one is called Draggable, and so if I click on this button right here, it's going to give me options of how to add a draggable icon. And this is great for if you want them to, like if you're doing natural resources versus um, uh, renewable versus non-renewable resources, this would be a really easy one to do. You don't have to have dots. There are all kinds of different icons, different symbols, things like that. But I like keeping the dot here. I used colors, blue. I need to add another dot, so I'm going to add another dot. Oh, one of them needs to be purple. That's good. And then I said green. And so now there's going to be 3 dots that are going to be on the page. I'm going to make them a little bit smaller so you can see you can make them bigger or smaller. I'm going to make them smaller here. All right, cool. And now I'm going to update the slide. And now this slide has draggable dots, and they love the draggable dots. One of the things that I want to caution you on, just let them know that they're going to have a certain amount of time to leave their dot where it needs to be. Otherwise, you're going to see them moving the dot constantly, and that's going to bug you a little bit. And I'll show you what that looks like. And the last one here, it says Earth rotates about 1670 kilometers per hour. Click the link below to learn more. Well, I don't have a link right here, but I'm going to add one. Now, of course, before I add one, I need to find something to add there. And so it could be something like you're adding a STEM Scopes lesson. I'm going to go to Google really quickly and find a video on rotation of the Earth. And I love SciShow or Crash Course for Kids. So I'm going to click on this. I'm going to pause it. I'm going to copy and paste this into my presentation. So there's the website button. I click on it, and then it's going to prompt me to enter in the website. Okay, I posted that, and now I'm going to update the slide. And now when the student clicks on this link down here, it's going to take them to YouTube. All right, so those are all the options of types of questions that you can do on your own slides, and there's lots of different ways that you can do these things. So try it out, right? That's the best way to learn technology. Try it out. Let me show you a couple of things from their templates. So you click on that, and it gives you all of these options. Just remember that you can go back, and you'll get back to your question icons here. All right, so one of the things that I like doing is adding a slide at the very beginning as kind of a do now. This is a really terrific one. It gives instructions. And I'm going to leave it kind of like it is already. So I'm going to drag it up to the top, and it says, find your seat. Number 2, take out your classroom device. You can change that to whatever it needs to be. And then 3, in PearDeck, answer, what was your main takeaway from the homework last night? Whatever. That's great. Or whatever you learned. Maybe it's whatever you learned yesterday if you didn't have any homework. And so that's just a good one. It doesn't have to be about whatever you were doing in class that day. Maybe you want to ask a question about who do you have for the Super Bowl? Or what is your favorite type of candy bar? And just have students type those things in there. Get them used to typing something in all the time when they're coming into the classroom. Just a good way to get them settled. All right, and if you're wanting some kind of exit ticket, they also have exit tickets for at the end of the lesson. One of my favorites is this one right here. And it says, pretend that your friend was absent today and tell them what you would tell them about what you learned in class today. So this is a great written response, a good exit ticket for them. A lot of them don't necessarily have... it's not going to be something that's graded. It's just something that you want to find out, like, how are they feeling? So this might be one that you click on. Back over here, there's critical thinking questions, social emotional learning. Down here, there's some sample questions for the little kids, math, science, social studies, world languages. Here in science, you got periodic table, atom designs, got some graph work here. The pictures that you have here, you can switch those out. So if I was going to add, for instance, this slide, and maybe I don't like the way that the arrows are pointing or whatever, I could take that out and just add my own images to what I wanted to have it. Maybe I like the setup of the page, but I don't like the question, so I could just click on the question here and change whatever it is. So they're very, very manipulatable. Yeah, so just a great tool for you. So I'm not going to have that in my presentation. I think I like the way that it is, and so I want to present. So I'm going to go back up here, and I'm going to start my lesson. Now, in order to show you both, I'm going to kind of toggle back and forth between a student slide and a teacher slide. So right now, I'm going to click on Start Lesson, and that's going to open up this page where it says Student Paced or Instructor Pace. Student Paced is just at their own pace. If you want to give them something to do for homework, or if you've finished the lesson, you can change it from Instructor Paced to Student Paced so that they can access all of the slides at once. Unless it is given to student pace, they have to follow at the pace that you're going. So when you change slides, they all change slides. So this is a really good way to control the flow of the lesson. So I'm going to click on Instructor Paced. It's going to give you this page where it gives you a passcode. The students will all go to joinpd.com. And so if you look right here, I've got my search bar. I'm going to type join PD, enter, and then I'm just going to click right there. It says join a presentation, and now I need to enter in the code. Now the code is TOLFBK. TOLFBK. All right, so I'm going to type in TOLFBK. The students love the little words that are at the bottom of the page. It helps them remember what they are. Troubling olives loudly form broke kangaroos. No idea what that means, but it makes them giggle, so I'm all for it. All right, so back on the student slide, you can see it says, how are you feeling today? They have the option of answering or skipping it. I prefer that they answer it, but that's up to them. So I'm going to say that I feel good because I feel good. And this is what they see on the very beginning. So they will see, find your seat. Cool, I'm already here. I'm on my device. What is the main takeaway from our homework? And maybe you had them look at how long shadows are in the beginning of the day, in the middle of the day, at the end of the day. And so I'm going to say, I noticed that shadows at the beginning and end of the day were longer, and the shadows in the middle of the day were shorter. All right, cool. Now, how do you know what they wrote? All right, so we're on the second slide. You are seeing just this page. Okay, so I'm going to start class. That's probably should happen before they're answering the question, but they've already joined it, so that's good. So we've started the class. They all see this on the board, and then they start answering the question. But I want to see what they're typing. And so I need to click right here and click Open on in a new device. I usually click on Start it in a new window. Okay. And so I'm going to go right here, and I'm going to say, let's see here. There we go. There we go. And so you can see right here, the student, Mike Rogers, has typed this in here. And one of the great things about this page is you'll see all of their presentations. You can see it in different modes. But since there's only one student here, that doesn't make any sense to change the mode. But what I like about this is, if you've typed that in there and you said, I want this done in the first 5 minutes of class, you can scroll to the bottom of all of the people that are doing this in your classroom, and it will show you a list of all of the students that have not entered anything. All right, and so that's a really good one. And then you can put little stars on these assignments if it's something that you need to go back to and say, hey, this is something that I want to address. Maybe you star students that you want to put into a small group, or maybe you star answers that you really like that you want to highlight for people. You can read these out loud. The students won't see them unless you're projecting your presentation here. And you can also give them immediate feedback. So all of those things are really good. All right, so that's the first one. Now I'm going to have them move to the second choice, right? So we're going to look at the second choice. I'm going to click on the second one, and then all of their slides are going to switch to this one. Notice your screen says waiting for a response. Their screen shows a big art tablet. Now you can see there's highlighters, lines, erasers, there's even a text box. For this one though, it just says draw a sun, so I'm just going to click on a sun color, and I'm just going to make a little circle. You can make that circle bigger, right? If you just wanted to click once, and that would make your little circle. They'll play with it. You want to make sure that your first lessons with this, you give them time to play with it. That's totally fine. All right, so if we think that that's about 9 o'clock, that's great. Now I want to create a shadow. And so I'm going to make a little shadow on this side of the tree. All right, maybe make it a little wider. Okay. All right, so I got my shadow, I've got my sun, I have done this assignment. What do you as a teacher see? Well, you see that that's what they've drawn. This is a great one to put in a grid layout, and you'll see all of your students and what they're drawing. And again, this is a great way to see kind of immediate, are they getting what I'm asking them to do? If you notice several of them have the sun on the wrong side, then you can say, now remember what side or what direction would the sun be rising in? The east side or the west side? Just as a reminder to many of them so that they get their thinking caps on, or maybe you have an anchor chart that they can look at to remind themselves of which side it's on. All right, so now we're going to move to the next question. Here I've got waiting for responses. That's always going to be what they see, is waiting for responses. So let's go to the second screen where you see the student. Student now sees 3 choices. Look at the shadow. What time of day is it? I see the shadow is on this side. That means the sun can't be here because there would be no shadow. Can't be here, so it's not noon. It has to be in the evening. That's 5 p.m., 6 p.m., doesn't really matter. So I would click on that one. And when they click on that one, you will see on your screen what they have picked. And again, you can see individual answers, or you can see it as a grid and see all of the students and what everybody answered. This is another really great way to see it as an aggregate, right? A macro look at the classroom, and then change it to micro by clicking on the grid layout. Cool. All right, I don't know if you saw that this also says sort by time or response or students. Those are just another cool way of looking at things. All right, so here we're going on to question number 4, and let's go over to the student screen. Student sees, explain what's happening when the sun crosses the sky. Use the scientific terminology we've used for this. I'm not going to type out everything, but the student would be typing something like, the sun actually isn't moving across the sky. Oops. The Earth is rotating on an axis. And so on and so forth, and they'll finish that answer. And if, again, you look at your page, you will see that the student has answered this. And again, I think that's a really great one, so I'm going to go ahead and star that answer to show and to kind of point that out to students. Look, this is a really good answer. They were very clear. They had a couple of sentences just to show students a good model. All right, so I'm going to look at the next question. Here we go. We're waiting for a response, going to the student page, and they now have the dots. Ooh, now the blue dot's a little hard to see here, so I might change backgrounds or whatever to make it a little easier, or maybe I will make them a little bigger. But it says place the blue dot in the new sun, so I've got, here's the blue dot. I'm going to drag it right there in the middle. Drag the green dot into the AM sun. Okay, here's green, there's AM. And purple dot to 6 p.m. And when I go over here, I see that. All right, so I'm going to go back to the teacher screen, but I want you to see when I do this, sometimes you're going to have students that go right in the middle, and you're going to be like, well, that's not really answering the question, right? And so what's cool about that is if you hover over that page, if you hover over it, or that dot, it will show you what student that is. Now, if you're going to have a ton of dots all over the place, especially since you're doing one with 3 dots. But if you hover over each one will say the student's name. And so that's just another way to see immediately who's making decisions. Okay, it looks like Mike is not deciding on a particular choice, and so I need you to pick something in the next 5 seconds. And so you just give them a countdown, and they will move to the correct spot, or to a spot at least. And then you can put that in your hamper as far as what you've gained from them. All right. So we're going to go to the last presentation. Let's see here. Oh, next to last. All right, and this is just the website one. And so if you go to the student, if you go to the student view, student needs to click on the YouTube channel, and when they click on the YouTube channel, the video will appear and they'll watch that video. All right. Cool. All right. So the final slide, we have pretend that your student or your friend didn't know what was going on today. Tell them about what you learned about. And of course, then we would go over to the student slide where we would see a spot to click in your answer, and then, rotation, blah, blah, blah. Okay. And that's it. That is how you would do your presentation. And as you can see, it's a really good way to get students engaged, to get immediate feedback on things, to give feedback back to them. There are several other things that you can use with this. When you're going onto the PearDeck page, you can actually call up old lessons and bring them up and look at all of the responses. And so that is something that I would recommend to you. I would not choose to end the lesson if everybody hasn't turned everything in. If you've got a student that's been absent or whatever, I would just move it to turn on student paste. And once you turn on student paste, that's going to allow the students to do it whenever they want to. You also notice that there are some other options here. Invite a co-teacher to work on it, make it full screen, all of this stuff. So when you're finished with all of your students putting everything in, then you can end that session, and then you'll go back in and look at it. I like looking at it immediately afterwards. I hope this lesson was valuable to you. I've used it quite a lot, especially during the pandemic time, but it's a really good way to get feedback from students and to get them engaged in whatever you are learning that day. All right. Hope you liked it. Thanks.